This is Richard back at you. We got Mr. Fluman's F-body Camaro on here. It's got a big block in it with a big old ProCharger, big tire, beautiful car. Makes over 2,000 horsepower. I mean, it's a beautiful car. But it's got a Powerglide in it. He wanted to get it in and get it freshened before mid-year. He wanted to get everything going quickly this year, so he was on top of his game next year right off the bat early in the season. So what he's got a FTI Powerglide. Got the big 400 shaft here. Got the big input shaft in the front. Got a nice drain tank here. Got a way if it leaks any fluid out the bin or anything, it'll catch it here instead of spilling it out on the track. So these things are very expensive trannies to play with. You start making that kind of power, you got to have something special. Now, the last one of these we did, it actually took forward clutches and stuff like that in it. It actually took the low clutch in the back was the brake clutch for the 4R100 E40D. And then the direct clutch, the high clutch, was an FMX. So they do some crazy stuff when they start building these aftermarket like this, putting all the big shafts and stuff like that, because they got to make room for everything else. So this is a really nice tranny. I'm glad that he's letting us do it for him. We really enjoy doing stuff like this. Like I say, this takes a 400 yoke roller bearing. Take an aftermarket action, it needs to be a harder yoke than your standard 400, like a billet yoke or something like that. Of course, you have your big billet shaft coming out the back. The case will be different. Your support will be different than your normal Powerglide stuff because of the diameter of the shaft physically going through the case. Roller bearing support in the back. Plate right here. Comes with the plate, comes on the gasket. Just gonna get gasket on this one. Now the factory gasket, you probably have to enlarge this hole. I don't know if they make a bigger hole gasket just for this big shaft. It looks like miserable tight going on there, so you might have to enlarge this or just slide it on. I'd probably enlarge it, make it slide on really nice instead of just sliding it on. But I like this here too. I was kind of trying to figure out how to pull this stick out. You take and pull this little slide down here and you can pull the dipstick out. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Pretty cool. But also, he's got a vent line here that catches the fluid. If the tranny ever vents any fluid or anything, it catches it back in this tank right here, and then instead of throwing it out on the track or anything like that. Now the Dirty Bird's a little different. We have a line coming up off here that goes to a holding tank up high right here on the frame, and it has a vent on top here, and then the fluid drains back right into the case. That way the case physically never runs dry or anything like that. This tranny here, if it does it, it could run dry quart, you know, anything like that. See, where my tranny, the Dirty Bird, will never run dry, but it's always going to cycle it right back and vent up here in my canister up high. So a lot better design. I like it that way. I mean, we don't have no issues, no leaks. Now, turbo car is a little harder on the converter, which you could get leakage then and get the fluid to come out your vent. Have our aftermarket shaft. These are bad about bending right here on the ends and stuff, and that's why they put a hardened shaft in there. The stock shaft, high powered car, not a good combination. So. I run the FTI Pro brake in my transmission stuff, and I mean that thing is so fast. Me being a slow guy, excuse me, an older gentleman, I'm a little slower on the street, so I need all the help I can get. And I'm telling you, their valve bodies release faster than you really want them to. I mean, they will get it on. Really nice dual ring servo here. I called around and asked who sold the fastest release valve body on the planet, and everybody come back with FTI. So these guys make some nice stuff. Well, it still looks pretty cherry red. Hopefully we don't have much damage. So these things here in my last video, or not my last one, but one of them I did. Anytime you go to the big shaft stuff, the price just doubles in cost than your standard Powerglide. I just run the standard stuff, but I run Vasco shafts and all that type of stuff. You know, I run a really good tranny, but I don't run the big shaft stuff like this. I just can't afford it. Got these little locking washers on here. You don't want to lose them. They go on these bolts here. Notice your front seal is actually held in by a retainer right here. It's got a snap ring and stuff in it that holds the front seal in. Your normal Powerglide, you could grab this shaft and pull it out. These big shafts, you can't do that. They physically go in from the other side. So this thing is massive on the inside when I get it apart. Get this here. Looks like he's been a few bolts missing here in front of the pan right here. These bolts here hold the front two on this the canister, but them two bolts right there are missing totally. If I got that. Pretty nice system, though. They do work, but I like the better one. Like I said, my tranny will never run dry with the system that I have on mine. I gotta pick some up finger there for a minute. Let's see what we got here. Now you should notice it's got a crosser 3-speed filter on it. These filters flow a lot of fluid. We use them in our 48RE builds too, because they suck from the top and bottom, or a 48RE tranny just sucks from the bottom, right off the bottom of the tank. So we get rid of them really quick. This is just a high flow filter. It'll almost never starve the pump or anything like that. You see it's got quite a bit of metal in the pan, not chunks, just probably friction wear and stuff like that. No converter metal really, nothing. You can see where it sucks on that filter right there harder right there in one spot though, but it does use the whole filter. Really nice filters. And you can see they make a really nice looking valve body, all billet. I'm actually going to talk to him about their dump valve system for my car, because I just put a dual dump valve system in a friend of mine's Powerglide, and he hasn't tried it yet, but he's definitely going to try it next year, and I'd like to just stick one on it just to have it, just to try it. These valve bodies are really nice. When they come out of the CNC machine, I mean, they just made everything. Now we can make anything. I mean, it's pretty much, if you can program it, you can make it. Same valve body I have in my car. Identical. I'm telling you. When they release, they release. I mean, you're ready to go, like right now. Got your anchor here. And there's your other anchor here. I hope this video is turning out okay. Like I say, Trent's not here today. Teresa's doing some stuff with her mother. And so I'm kind of down here holding the homestead down. Really nice case. Now this isn't your standard ultra case front, you know, where you put like an ultra bell on it or anything like that. This bell housing is physically made for this case. You can swatch it out probably to a Ford or something like that too. So. Very nice billet pump. The only thing I like about these is parts are high dollar. Start going to these big shafts and changing Powerglides up a bunch, you're gonna pay for it. Because I mean, look at the complex pump, all billet on this beautiful stuff. It'll be all roller bearing, high pressure rings. Back a little bit. Look at this pump. Isn't that pretty? Now instead of the pump gear running on the stator, looks like they got a spacer in here, right there. That way the pump gear doesn't ever tear up the stator. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that. That is beautiful. And then the pump gear, it looks like a 400 pump gear instead of like your normal Powerglide. You know, it's great big. Let me go grab a normal Powerglide one for you real quick. Now this here's your standard Powerglide right here, and you can see the gear size here. Look how much surface area you got. Twice as big. Look at that. I mean, it almost looks like a 350 pump gear. So. And then look here, we even have another spacer down in here. That way you can't ever wear out the pump body. Look at that. Now if you notice here too, we get into issues with these pumps having so much pressure and trying to shove the gear to one side and stuff like that. But if you notice here, they put grooves in here to get oil on the back side of that gear. Look at that, all the way around. And if you notice here, they drilled a hole. to put oil pressure on that gear. Now we do the same thing on your standard Powerglide, but that is pretty awesome. Beautiful, beautiful pump. Like I said, they got these plates here. They're wear plates, and it just keeps from wearing the pump body out and stuff where the gear physically runs on that. Isn't that awesome? Sets down in there just like that, locks in there. And a good turn. I tell you, what money can buy. But for this type of stuff, you got to have this type of stuff to go fast and to make the power that these guys make. I mean, they just make a lot of power. Set this right there. Look at our band out here. Now this is a lot different band than your normal Powerglide band. You notice how they added a lot of material on one side. Where your standard Powerglide band is this thick on both sides. But they added some lining here. Look at that, how they did that. Isn't that cool? The band's offset. Got some wear though. Gonna need a band. You can see here on the tips. I don't know if you can see that. When the tips start wearing right there, it'll go metal to metal. And you can see right there where they just put one piece right here on this one little end right there. So I don't know if that already fell off or that was made like that. Odd there. See what we got here. So every time we get something in like this, it's a learning experience for us because they make so much cool stuff. And then we see it, find it, and crossed it, and all that type of stuff. We learn every day. So exciting. Now you notice here they stayed with the Powerglide clutch. Now the last training that I did like this, it physically had FMX Ford clutches in it, in this drum here. So they did stay with the standard drum. It's not a billet drum. It's not lightweight or anything like that. Take the standard bushing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Got 10 clutches. Still look pretty good, but Mr. Fluman, we need to put everything in his tranny 100%. I mean, he's not easy on stuff, and he dang sure ain't gonna be easy on it next year. Now he does have this is the sun gear right here. Now this is a different sun gear than we're used to seeing. A lot thinner, different teeth. I mean, everything about it. This thing doesn't have any wear. It looks really good. I have to look at it better with my glasses on after the video before when I start putting it back together. We basically clean these up after I get done with my video and inspect everything. That way we can get all the parts ordered and stuff for them. So this does have another shield on the inside, just in case if this drum blows up or comes apart, it can't come physically through the floor or through the case of the car and hurt Mr. Fluman. So we have one of these in our car too. I mean, you just gotta have them when you're making this kind of power. Big old shaft. This is a different design here than we've seen before. Pretty cool. This is where we spend a lot of money right here in this planetary gear setup. This setup right here is probably, man, they can range from mine is a cheaper version. It's probably only about $1,500. This here's a really nice setup here. It can go from $2,500, $3,000 or better when you start getting this big shaft stuff like this. So all straight cut planet stuff. I did notice here, this is pretty crazy here that I noticed just now. They did away with this bearing that sets right here. There's no bearing there no more. And they put the bearing on the end of the shaft right here. There's a little tiny roller bearing there. Now, this sets and runs on that little bearing instead of pushing on this bearing right here. That's kind of, I do not understand. That is, like I say, we learn something every day. They're changing them up every day. More power every day. And we're going faster and faster every year. Every year. Now this here is just your standard Powerglide clutch. It isn't the big clutch that you normally see. This is it's the same as the 4L60E, 350, stuff like that. The 350 is a little thicker. 4L60E could be a little thinner, but you can use them to switch back and forth to get your clearances right. We do that all the time. So 1, 2. Got a 5 clutch system in it. Really nice stuff. Mr. Fluman's going to be really excited on this one here because it's not going to take a whole lot to put this back together new. Some bushings, clutches and stuff like that, the band, pump gears and some thrust plates probably. It's going to be really simple for him, or really cheap for him, so he's going to be excited. So if y'all need anything, give us a holler, Precision Transmissions. Y'all have a great day.